Hi everyone, it's Hans here, the founder of Cappuccino, and welcome back to this latest episode of Flat Whites and Insights, a podcast created to allow a space for open, honest and vulnerable conversations with real people held over a beautiful cup of coffee. I'm back for Series 4 and I can't wait to get going again with so much more to dive into and share with you guys. So grab a coffee for yourselves, take a moment, and I hope you enjoy this latest conversation. Thank you, take care, and enjoy.
Ashleigh, hi.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Thank you for taking some time to join me here for a conversation on Flat Whites and Insights. I'm really looking forward to having a conversation about a passion that we both share, which is football, but then also diving a little bit more to hear about yourself, some of your journey. Before we start, you're right to give a brief introduction to yourself, who you are, kind of what ASFA is all about as well.
Yeah, so I live in Didcot. I've been here for about 8 years now, and I've worked in many roles throughout different industries. I was at BMW for about 10 years, and when they offered me early redundancy, I took it, and I trained to be a PT, and then I got a job at Little Kickers in Didcot,
Yes, yeah.
and the owner of the franchise, he wanted out. It wasn't clear from the start, but he did want out. And when I went there was so many of the parents were just so not really sure what was going on, and so what I decided to do was on a Sunday morning do my own little kickabout and see how it went, and then it just sort of snowballed from there. And within, I'd say, 3 to 4 months, I had too many. It just grew too quickly at the start. And then a lot of them sort of went into teams, and it flattened off a bit. But I think if I would have been better prepared from the start, I would have been able to sustain the volume of. I would get home from a session on a Sunday, and my phone was just going and going and going. So it just grew from there. But I've always loved football. I've always played football. So it's a huge passion of mine. And actually, when I was around 20, I got offered a place to go out to America to be a coach. And I hadn't coached at that point in my life, and I just wasn't ready at that stage in my life to take the opportunity. So maybe one day I'll get out there and see what it's all about.
Yeah,
so
it's awesome as well to hear how. And I think it's so common with some of these things is you don't really set out with an exact vision of maybe what it's going to be. I'm sure you have now that ASFA is kind of a bit more established and a great number of teams that you've got. I know it's both boys and girls teams. I mean, in my time when I was working at Bucks and Bucks FA, I think that was kind of how our paths crossed a little bit with this when I was kind of helping out with all the DBS and like that. But just seeing like how it was growing and took my interest, also being based in Didcot. Yeah, in terms of the coaching, how much kind of active coaching do you do yourself still? Are you still pretty involved with a lot of the sessions? Because I know you have got a bit of a team now under you, but
so I coach every day, whether that's my own teams or helping. We obviously do just training sessions as well, so they're not all team sessions through the week. But I help a few teams out that want me to just show, if they're an experienced coach and they want to learn whilst the girls are learning and the boys, I help out in that way. But I've only got 2 teams, so I've got a Saturday girls team and a Sunday girls team. So, but I am out every day, every evening. It's quite an unsociable pursuit, really, in terms of time.
Yeah. can imagine it. You've got to really love it, right? You've got to really love it to commit that time and that space to it. And it's not just being a coach, I think, isn't it? Particularly with the young players, you notice that it's almost, I can imagine you feel also a bit of, there's that role model element to it. They're learning, and you're not just growing players, you're growing like young people. So I can imagine, or you might have some examples of people, don't have to name names, but where you've seen someone who's maybe their confidence as well as their football ability just grows as they spend time kind of in that environment.
Yeah, I mean, I always say when I speak to new parents or new coaches about people first, and it's, you know, you're however long you're with them, you've got to try and shape their, you know, their future to a degree in terms of what just little things like respect and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's always people first. If they're not enjoying it, then it doesn't really matter what you'll do in football wise. So
Yeah.
yeah, but there, you know, I've got everyday examples of I've got a young lady today she was really struggling with confidence. She came to me, a load of girls, a team folded at the end of last season. They had nowhere to go. So a few stayed at the club and played up a year, and a few come to me. And one of the girls, she is sort of flitted between playing at the back and at front.
Yeah.
But I could see the confidence just not there. So I've started to play her further in the back so she can see the game in front of her. And you can just see where it's taken her in terms of confidence. And I don't even need to speak to her about it because you can see, you know, I do give her encouragement, but it's night and day in terms of how good she's getting and just how much she's opening up. So yeah, like I said, there's loads of examples. But yeah, so it's great. It's great. You know, it is a massive passion of mine, and like I said, just harking back to that kind of America trip. If I'd have been ready, I just wasn't. But you know, I always wanted to do it. Though is my point. Always wanted to do it. I just didn't have the confidence to go for it. Well, I wasn't ready to do that. I always wanted to, and so although that ship sailed, that opportunity sailed, I just always wanted to take the plunge into coaching. I just wasn't confident enough in myself at that time of my life. So now I am, and you know, I've pushed my own personal sort of development. I love it. You know, I can't get away from the fact it's such a passion of mine, and doing it every day of the week. You know, I'm like anyone. I'm not always buzzing to get to do it, but it's the thought of it rather than doing it. As soon as you get there, like most things, you get straight into it, and I enjoy the sessions as much as the players. So yeah, I found my passion. That's one thing I can say.
Yes, yeah, nice, and I think it's so nice when you do realize that as well. I think sometimes it's when you realize when you're working in something and you're willing to put in, as you say, those maybe a bit longer hours, the evenings, it almost doesn't feel like, I say it doesn't feel like work. Obviously, sometimes it does still feel like work when you've got to get up and go there. But in terms of when you finish it, like you say, you get to the end of the session, a match day or a game, it gives you that energy rather than like feeling like drained from it. Probably there's like that buzz, and when you feel like you're doing something that you really care about and want to make a difference. Yeah.
Oh, it's huge. You know, I work full time in the day, so I'm up. I'm up at 4:45 in the morning, and there's sometimes when I've done my shift and I'm finishing at 2 at the gym, I'm thinking, oh, I've got a session from 5 till 8. And at that time of the day, I'm like, I'd like to just be able to say, well, I've done my hours today and I'm going to go home. And sometimes I'm able to do that. But I know that it's just not work. It's not that BMW, that kind of that work like that. So I really appreciate the fact that I'm in the position I'm in to be able to do what I do really. So.
Yeah, and there must be times when actually it's, although often the days probably we've had the hardest, or that, you know, sometimes you have days at work where you're like, oh, just tougher days. Sometimes, although it feels harder to then go into a session, it's probably the days that it gives you the most benefit.
Yeah.
I found with sometimes if I've got like an evening, I'm recording a podcast after a day at work, and I'll be at work in the afternoon and I'm having a busy day, and I'm like, oh, why did I book into But then as soon as the conversation starts, and I'm like, oh, I remember why I'm doing it, and
That's
why
right.
these conversations.
Yeah. It's always the thought and not the actual doing.
Yeah.
And I think that mindset is huge in terms of the resilience to know that, okay, I've had a thought here that I'm sort of questioning. I'm still going to do it.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's have that resilience to keep going and do what you say you're going to do. And at the back of it, because you probably had that thought in the day of, oh, I'm not sure if I want to do it. Once it's done, you're buzzing.
Yeah.
Because it's a little tick box to your own self, knowing that you had that resilience to complete the task. I think that's huge.
Yeah, definitely, and not just in as you say that's something that relates to sport as well. Of course, like do that, give that extra run, do that extra energy runs in the legs, or players don't want to do the running because then you see the benefit. And but the life as well. There's so many things that we build up and make out to be these things that are so much worse than often they actually are. And yeah, certainly I can relate definitely with myself, with obviously the nature of cappuccino. It's kind of do a bit of like mental health awareness as well. And for me, it's like anxiety, depression. I kind of got and diagnosed with both. And so definitely that anxiety thing, sometimes it's understanding when, it's just, my idea, the thoughts that are growing, building something up to actually be one of the best ways to tackle it is action. And moving and just diving into it. And even if it is going to be uncomfortable or horrible for that first initial moment, you'd rather, the quicker you're into it, the quicker you're out of it in a way. You don't want to do.
No, I've done a lot of work on myself, my own sort of mental health, mental. I always use the word, but resilience. Lots of CPD sessions and all sorts. So yeah, I've suffered for a long time, but it's managing and knowing how to manage what's actually going on in that moment. Even like the breath work, things like that. It's just, yeah. If you have the tools, I think you can cope better. But it's that initial reaching out, and that sort of frowned upon, and especially with men.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Men, and in being in a football dressing room environment, I can see why. I can see how it can be so difficult. I mean, I've never played to a high level, but myself, even if it's not in that game environment, if it's maybe after training, I can understand why it's so difficult to maybe try and open up and reach that. You really got to trust your teammates to be there. And that you worry sometimes, unfortunately, that maybe a manager or players might use that against you. And unfortunately, and most of the time that people will look out for you, and I think that is getting better. But I can see why the thoughts would be, oh, I can't share this because I want to be performing. I want to make sure I'm in the team. I want to make sure that I'm seen as being strong. But
I think the mentality is changing hugely and quite rapidly now in terms of that. I think that the same kind of ethos from coaches and players, it's just not there anymore from what it was maybe 20, 30 years ago. I think there's a lot more awareness around it, and people are just much more softer, I think.
I think it is that. It's people first now, isn't it, before player? And that's important as well, because if you understand how they are as people, what makes them tick, because some people might like an arm over the shoulder, some people might have a bit of a tougher.
Majority of people like the arm. Again, these days, when say if someone speaks to me about a certain player and they say about the arm around the shoulder, and I think to myself, yeah, it's brilliant and great advice. And I think most people are going to respond better to some positivity or even constructive criticism. They're not going to respond to that, hit them and and really get into them and fire them up. There are a few people out there, but you know, if you don't get it right, you're breaking stuff down rather than building stuff up. So I always think that you've got to go with the arm approach
Yeah.
and see where that takes you. You can't go in with the fire approach because you're going to do more damage, I think.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
almost.
most
I think it's that. Yeah, that's the way to go. And then if a player or someone was to turn around and say, actually, what I might need is this, and if they've then given that permission, that permission, and they maybe say, you know, that's what will get me going, then maybe leaning off the player. But it's what the player. It's almost led by the player or led by that person
I
rather.
think so. Yeah,
which is a shift, which is definitely a shift.
Yeah,
but I think
obviously
it's probably magnified in football and in sport because it's that competitive environment. But even I think in workplaces now, or in the way people talk about that development or the way people manage, even in like the office or in like the corporate world, I think everything's changing. And
yeah, for the better.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. But like we said, it's so much in the public domain now, and especially men's mental health more than anything. And you just can't get away with the things you probably could have got away with, years ago. So, but yeah.
But yeah, it's good to see the conversation growing in that way. And I even think myself, like, it's not that long ago I was longer than I'd like to admit, probably, but not that long ago I was, at school growing up and in an environment where I definitely felt it was quite competitive. Like at my school, for example, it was like a selective school, so I had to like pass 11 plus to get there, and then they were very focused on like your results and academic achievement. And it felt like your worth was based on your performance. And I get it, you're at school too, but yes, at school they want you to achieve and be successful academically, but I feel even then I didn't really feel there was much of we're growing you in like to become emotionally intelligent, or we're going to talk to you about your feelings, or we're going to talk to you about mental health. And I think that has changed as well. But it's interesting how I look sometimes, and I catch myself with certain thought patterns or things today, and I think, oh, that's the me in school, thinking like, I want the teacher to tell me I've done well, and I want but that doesn't work. Like when you're an adult in the workplace, your boss is always going to give you an A grade, etc. So it's
but you carried that, haven't you? You carried that through from those times. I got twins, and they're both at secondary school now, and they do a lot of work. It's not just when I was at school, it was just learning your lessons and your subjects, and then you went home. There was no sessions put on. They have like coaching sessions, and then that's all based around the person, rather than just you're there to learn and what your grades at the end of the term. So that's changed massively as well, which is great, and they come home happy, and that's credit to the school.
That's the main thing, isn't it? That's the main thing. But no, in terms of, we've gone a bit of the wider topic about mental health and in general thing, but in terms of going a bit more locally and back to ASFA. So in terms of the program, and so how many teams have you got now under the whole setup?
I think we've got 13.
Okay, nice. And it was only in 2022, wasn't it, that you started? So is that like, when you started in 2022, was that always like the aim, or was it we'll start with one or two teams and we'll just see where it takes us? And
the aim wasn't for teams at all. No, the aim was just to do like just to do the youngsters, probably between 3 and 5 years old. And that was it really. And I was at Decote Town at the time, and Kevin, Kev Lyons was good enough to give me a slither of pitch off the main training pitch, and so I just
I know Kevin, all the guys at Decote Town pretty well. So
so obviously I was chatting to Jamie recently, about the logo, which I've got just here.
Yeah, that threw me
Yeah.
when he answered the phone. Then it really
Oh,
threw
I'm
me.
sure. Well, did you not know he was working there?
No, I didn't. So
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
yeah,
So I just go down there and have a chat to him sometimes. just have a chat.
yeah,
But yeah, he's a good lad.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and so yeah, that's all it. That was all it was. And then all of a sudden, I got a phone call from a chap, a Scottish chap, asking me, can I train him and his friend's son? And they were
Mm,
sort of 9. I said, yeah, bring them down, and we started training them. And then that's where it just snowballed because of the multiple age group. And I think that age group is there's a huge volume of opportunity in terms of recruitment of players.
mm,
And then it just sort of sat like that for about a year. As I said, it grew a bit too quickly, and
mm.
some left, like flew the nest, as I call it, to go. And that is the whole point, though, really.
Yeah.
And then I sort of thought to myself, well, I'm losing players, and they're going to other teams, which is absolutely fine because I was
Mm,
working out of Didcot Town, their training pitch, and I was coaching in the Didcot Town girls' side.
yeah.
Um, but it sort of got to the point where I thought, well, I've got this here, and I'm doing stuff here, and
Mm,
now why I just should just do that there, in all under one umbrella. Um, and I started to create teams.
mm,
Well, I made the shift over just to my own stuff, and I created a team, a girls team that played against boys on a Sunday,
yeah.
and then it just kind of snowballed from there because I could hear parents talking about putting their sons and daughters into teams, and I just started creating teams then. And of course, then you've got to get people to coach these teams, but generally
Yes.
that always comes from the parent of one of the players. And I'm lucky enough to have a really good uh, bunch of volunteers who are the parents in the teams, to take these teams on. I can't thank them enough.
Mm,
Um, and we
yeah.
are all one family, and it's just growing. The problem is, like what my wife will tell you, I get an idea, I go sort of halfway through it, and then another idea comes along. And
Yeah.
although I do complete the first idea, the second idea is already on its way. And so
Mm,
she says I just need to do one idea at a time, but I just constantly thinking about things.
yeah.
So
I can relate to that. I'm sure there's a lot of people
yeah,
who watch and listen to this who can relate to that with even this with like the cappuccino over first. I was just an Instagram page, and initially I was reviewing cafes. I wasn't going to talk about mental health really at all.
yeah,
Part of that was myself. There was still that element of a bit of embarrassment about it, I think, and I didn't want people necessarily who maybe I'd gone to school with or friends and mates knowing
yeah,
I was in this space. But then started to do a few posts on that. It got a bit of traction. And so it went from just reviewing cafes to then a page about mental health to then we've got our coffee. And then I was like, let's sponsor some local football teams. Coming
yeah,
on, I mean, ties in nicely with recently. We just, as you say, gone on a couple of the shirts for yourself as well, which is really cool. Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
to go on
It's
to an
the
ASFA.
goalkeeper top.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
I'm sure you can. There you go. So you're right in the middle there.
right.
Great.
But
No, I do appreciate that. It's brilliant.
yeah, no, it's great to be involved and with something in the local community as well. It's interesting. I noticed you mentioned you've been in Didcot about 8 years, so I think for me and my wife now it's about 7, so similar length of time that kind of moved to the
Yeah,
area. But again, with football being a passion, the local football club was kind of where I thought I'd meet people, and then you start to feel connected to the area, and
yeah.
it's probably because of Didcot Town, and then like people like yourself and the football clubs and football academy in the area that kind of feel a bit like connection to it. So
Mm. Yeah, because I remember seeing you in at the club.
yes, yeah.
Um, I can't remember in what capacity now. I think you certainly at a match day.
Hmm.
Um, and I have a feeling you were over with the coaches. Um,
I mean, I've been involved in a few bits at Didcot Town now, but mainly in the kind of administration stuff like the media and socials.
so it could have been that actually.
And
Yeah.
then I was involved. I was on the committee and had a short stint as club secretary as well. So
Did you?
yeah, yeah, which was a lot.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I've been to some of the committee meetings, and there's a lot
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good people there at the club. I've kind of
Yeah.
stepped away from it a bit now, partly with just other commitments, partly we're expecting a first little one
Yeah,
in
amazing.
January. So, which is coming around quickly now, but just
imagine.
wouldn't have been able to commit, I think, with all
No.
that. But I'm sure I'll end up being involved in football in some capacity. I don't think I'll be able to stay too long.
No, as soon as they're ready to play, I reckon you'll be coaching.
Most likely, yeah. But yeah, like I said, with then sponsoring local teams, and then now with this podcast as well, it's funny how like I have one idea and then something else, and my wife's the same. She's like, "Han, just you're working full time alongside this. Just don't be doing too much." But it's hard when you're really enjoying it and you want to just do as much as I can, really.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that will have to slow down, I guess, when Fab was born anyway. So but congratulations! I did see the post as well. Actually, I think you put a post on Instagram.
Yeah, little boy. Yeah, so
excellent. I didn't know if you.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you knew.
Yeah, but he's not going to. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to have much choice. He's going to be a Wycombe Wanderers fan, so that's one thing he won't have much choice in. But we'll see.
Obviously, you are then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
grew up in the area. Yeah.
Oh right. Okay. Do you go to watch them then?
When I can, like when I was involved heavily more with Didcot, I wasn't, but I try and get back when I can. But yeah, it's nice. It's the only reason I really get back to Wycombe now. Most of my family's moved out Oxfordshire way, similar to us. But yeah, always keep an eye on the scores, and it's been a tough start to the season, but we'll see. We haven't we've only sacked one manager this season though, whereas I know Forest has sacked two.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, let's see how many we have sacked by May.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's not great. Not great.
I'm sure we'll be all right. I'm sure Forest will be all right.
Yeah, they'll be fine. I think they're going to go. I mean, obviously they mooted Sean Dyche in the international break. But I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's obviously some journalists on those podcasts, and they kind of allude to the fact that they're just getting a feeling out there in terms of what the fans think, and they probably don't even actually want Dyche. But what they want to do is they want to see, do they want Ange out? I think, and I think the consensus is that they do. See, and I again, apparently Marco Silva's name was mentioned today, and who's mentioned? I haven't, because I've been out all day, but who's mentioned his name? Because apparently Ange was sacked minutes after the end of the game, and I mean Marinakis actually left his seat in the 60 odd minute, and he didn't come back.
So that he was going, do something. Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
it's brutal. Football is brutal.
Yeah. It is brutal. Yeah, but how are you getting on? Wycombe.
Yeah. Wycombe. We're so we had a big changeover. So I think December last year we were like in the top two. We were competing with Birmingham, Wrexham, and then our manager left to go to Luton. He's now since been sacked from Luton at Bloomfield. But we got new owners in. Mike Dodds came in, who'd been like a coach at Sunderland, and we tried to transform. I think we tried to change too much too quickly, which I think can happen in organisations sometimes. And I think in the last two windows, we've signed 26 players. The manager changed. He's now obviously since gone, and we've got Michael Duff in, and they're trying to go for this new younger approach. And they've invested a lot in the club. We've reopened the academy, which is a really good thing because Wycombe previously had to close that because of financial restrictions. So, or financial, we just didn't have the money. So I think that the big picture, if I zoom out, I think we're doing well, and the club's in a good place, and they're going to have the academy. But football, it's really hard to look at the big picture. People want results now, and we've not started the best. I think we'll stay up, but I think that's almost, I think we'll be mid-table, whereas at the start of the year, I would have been saying I want playoffs minimum, and I've already reduced my expectation.
I see. Right, okay. Well, that's fair enough. So Gareth Ainsworth has no...
No, he's Gillingham now, I think. But I watched his football for 10 years, so as much as people love beautiful football, I do appreciate, the old fashioned, target man.
Yeah,
You're getting results if it's effective, and I think it shows like with anything outside of football and in football, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. If you can get people to buy into something as well, and I think he was a very, very good man manager, like motivator. And I think often when they say about someone's lost the dressing room or someone's whatever, it's partly that it's the way you play, but like we were saying about football, maybe it's more about the people than just the you have to learn your people. They want to have that respect and feel respected and really want to play and win for you. And I think that's what he was very good at. He would get absolute best out of people.
Yeah.
And
make people play to their strengths and their abilities.
Which is a lesson for everything. It's if you can do that. I've had managers before who've really done that with me, and I see it in the team. I've had managers before, and I'm talking managers in an office environment now rather than football.
Of course,
But you see it. You see, like, someone could be technically so good at what they do, but if you can't bring people along with you, it's never gonna end.
No, I think that's the key point there, is what you said, bringing people along with you with the journey.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, you may be able to bring some along. It depends on the person, but it's not always one size fits all. But if you struggle with that man management side, then you are going to struggle. And like you said, it's a results business. So it doesn't. If you're playing pretty football and losing, what's the point?
But it's about results at the end of the day, which sometimes with anything, I can take that out of like out of football as well. Sometimes it's you can try and be doing things. Sometimes some things just got it done, even if it's not the prettiest way. Or sometimes you don't want to do it. You just got to get some things done. So so definitely. But in terms of something I did want to ask actually, before kind of coming towards the end, but you mentioned you had worked at BMW previously. You kind of had your career kind of while you were working in that other thing. Have you done much coaching or worked in football, kind of football coach or manager in non-league and stuff before, or has the football stuff really come in since you left there?
Yeah, so when I was at BMW, I did do some coaching under my uncle, but it was not a lot, and it was for boys' team out where they are, so North Oxford.
Okay.
It was very minimal in terms of what we're doing now. But as I said, when I left BMW, I was a PT, so that was what I was going to, because I've always been in and around gyms, always trained and tried to keep myself in shape and stuff. And so, but that's also a huge element of my mental health for that part, that I needed that release, as well as football. But I found the gym really good to release any pent up anger or whatever whatever's there. Just the emotional side. And so I trained to be a PT, and I was being a PT, but I do like being a PT, but it was just the fact that my daughter was old enough to start playing football, and she turned round to me and said, "Daddy, can we go and play football?" So me and my two girls went and started playing football at Boundary Park. And then one of them, who doesn't play now, said to me, "Can I go and play football?" So I took her along, and she come home and said, "No, I don't like it." Right. So I was like, "Okay." But then the other one turned around being jealous and said, "I want to go." So then I took Summer, and she has played ever since.
Yeah.
So she's in my team. We'll play tomorrow, and she's one of my defenders. She also plays on the Saturday side of mine, but for under a different coach. So yeah, it was never my intention to leave BMW and be a football coach, but yeah, it's just materialised that way, and I'm so glad it has. Really,
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for anything better. So.
think that's the thing often. I think sometimes it's that realization, or it's the things when you're thrown into something or something changes and it just opens an opportunity maybe that you weren't necessarily looking for a change, but when a shift happens or something ends, it just gives you that chance to almost start afresh and go, what do I really want to do, or just be led by something and see how it goes. I mean, it's similar for myself really, I guess, in terms of I never really wanted to, it was never really an intention to set up something about mental health awareness and all that. I didn't really know what mental health was, or wasn't really educated on it, and until I had my own crisis experience and my breakdown. And then off the back of that, it's like that meant that I stopped the career. Like, I was in a PhD at the time, so I was thinking, I'm going to go on and have a career in academia. I'm going to become a doctor of this, that, and the other. And I'm so glad that, yes, it was a painful and it's sometimes difficult journey, but I'm so pleased that it kind of shifted that way I was going, because I could have, still been doing that now, but not really doing what I feel is my purpose and like a real passion. I would have just been, surviving. I'm almost pleased that it broke me early enough that I had a chance to really build something else.
Yeah, I was the same. I had an episode when I was at Sainsbury's years and years and years ago, and I just wasn't sure what was going on, and it almost changed me. Honestly, it almost changed me. So I've done a lot of work, and I'm talking 20 odd years ago. A hell of a lot of work on myself.
Yeah.
And so I can fully relate to anything, everything you say. But
I guess 20 years ago as well, things like the conversation now is quite open and people talk about it, but 20 years ago it was a very different landscape in terms of it was very, very different.
Yeah, I started speaking to a chap, and it was actually at the doctor's surgery, and I remember I was his last client, patient, you could potentially say, because it was under the NHS, and he was almost falling asleep in the sessions. He was yawning and just wasn't really interested in what I had to say. But listen, like we said, it was a long time ago, and like you said, alluded to there, the landscape was very different. So I didn't really know where to go with it. But bit by bit, and talking and not being shy of the fact that I suffered and I had to seek help is huge. And so whenever I see, like, in the news or media and all this, the rates of people, suicide rates, it's just so alarming to me and shocking. But the main word is alarming, because it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way, but we just need to speak up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it shouldn't make, it shouldn't matter who that person necessarily is, but always when it is someone in the limelight or a celebrity, it obviously spotlights it a bit more. But everyday people are going for it as well. But I know recently there was Matt Beard, the Liverpool coach, and then Ricky Hatton as well. Two massive people, and it's it just puts that spotlight on it. But unfortunately, those stories seem to be, if anything, becoming more regular. I don't know if it's because it's being reported more. I don't know if there's more emphasis on it, and maybe 15 years ago they wouldn't have done that. But then, the trend is worrying, because people are open and wanting to tackle it, but at the same time, I mean, you only have to look at the wider world today. There's a lot of the news and everything that I can see is very anxious, and you can't switch off from it now because of devices, because of the internet, because of
I think there's a lot of people who are really unaware and unsure of the future, and this is another topic on that, but it's difficult to see from my own personal point of view, because I don't know, I just think that because I was able to take stock, whatever that meant or however that looked, I was able to. But for me to do that, I had, and this is a long time ago, I had to go and speak to my mother and say, look, something's happening here, and it just takes that one link and I know it's very easy to say, but it just literally takes that one link, and you'll be surprised at how much it opens up for you.
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing. I think a bigger takeaway of people watching this, listening, is not feeling great. Like if someone's not feeling great, just someone, it doesn't have to be mother or friend or someone you trust, someone who you know's got your back, and just, and it is difficult, definitely the first time as well, because you have to it's accepting to yourself when you say to someone else as well.
This is it. Yeah.
It's almost confirming to yourself, no, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the battle was, and I think for myself, before I had my burnout, there was definitely times when I was like, oh no, it's just me. I'm just, come on, just get on with it. Horrible phrases like man up, just tackle it.
Yeah.
I think everyone goes through stuff, but once you release that weight on your shoulder of just sharing with one person, as you say, it's change things for sure.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
No, it's great. And yeah, I really appreciate you kind of sharing that on this as well, and coming on for a chat. And with ASFA as well, it's great to see. I mean, 13 teams or so now.
Yeah.
See where you get to in the next few years. Or
I know it's not the plan to keep putting on teams and teams and teams, but yeah, I'm really happy where it is, and it's great the fact that we've managed to build it to where it is. So.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and all the best for it. And I'll have to come down for a few to catch you at a few games or sessions or something this season.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Good to come down and catch up. And before we finish, there is a question I ask everyone, so I'm going to ask it to yourself as well. And that is, what does happiness mean to you?
Happiness to me means, I think, as long as my family is happy, and as long as my kids come home with their smiles on their faces from school, and to me, that's happiness.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much, Ash. And
Lovely, Hans.
Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm sure I'll catch you soon.
Excellent. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this latest episode of Flat Whites and Insights, and I really hope you gained something from that conversation, because I know I certainly did. It would mean a lot if you can head over to Instagram and give Cappuccino a follow. This is where you can keep up with the content that I'm putting out, and where I'm hoping to raise awareness of mental health through my passions for football, coffee, and people. In addition to this, if you want to reach out and connect, or come on the podcast yourself and have a conversation, please do get in touch, because I'm always keen to speak to new people and hear about new experiences. Thank you so much, take care, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.